Well, everyone, we made it. It's nearly the end of 2020 and we've made it through this crazy year, and though there have been ups and downs and all kinds of disruptions across the board, there have also been some really awesome Chromebooks released, and there's honestly more demand right now for Chromebooks than we've ever seen in the past. And so we want to take a moment to reflect back on all the devices that have been released and let you know what our favorites are for this year. Today's video is brought to you by NordVPN. They're the VPN of choice for millions of consumers because they're awesome at what they do, and that's keeping your browsing safe and secure whether you're at home or out and about. If you'd like to learn more about them and their services, head over to chromeunbox.com/NordVPN where you can learn more and get started today. Now, before we get into all these Chromebooks, a quick refresher on how we go about doing all this. We break things up into 3 basic categories, and you can call those categories whatever you want. We like to think of them as affordable, mid-range, and high-end. And the affordable category starts at $0, moving all the way up to $299, while the mid-range category goes from $300 to $649, and then we have the high-end category at $650 and up. For each category, we'll pick a clear winner, but we'll also give a handful of honorable mentions in each category because ultimately, we think that this or that Chromebook is the best, but we want to give you some options on devices we think are good contenders, but maybe not what we feel like is the best, so that while you're out shopping, you've got some flexibility and some different ideas of the ways that you can go about buying things. Finally, we have a really awesome giveaway we're announcing as part of this video, so be sure and stick around to the end and hear more about that. All right, so let's get things started in the $0 to $299 affordable category with the Samsung Chromebook 4 Plus. This is a device we reviewed a few months ago, and again, Chromebooks in this price range aren't going to bring a lot of flash or pizzazz to the table, but they'll bring the essential things that you need, and the Celeron 4000 or N4020 processor we see in these more affordable Chromebooks has come to the point where it's good enough to get most of your basic everyday tasks done. And that's honestly what we found in the 4 Plus from Samsung. Now, the display isn't the best quality, it's not the most pristine build quality, and you know, those are just things that we understand with low price Chromebooks, but again, it's enough to get your work done. And that's kind of the point with these Chromebooks. You want to get a device that's going to be good enough for kids, good enough to knock around the house, and the Samsung provides a much larger screen than most Chromebooks in this price category, and we found it to be good enough to handle all the basic tasks you expect from a Chromebook. Moving on, the Acer Chromebook 315, specifically the full HD version with touch capability, is in a similar boat with the Samsung Chromebook 4 Plus in that it's not flashy, but it gets the job done. This one does add a numeric keypad to the right, and you get a full HD screen that's both IPS and touch, and you're getting the same N4000 Celeron, 32 gigs of storage, and 4 gigs of RAM. Acer has it on their own store right now for $229, and it's $299 normally, so it really sits in the same price category as the Samsung, while offering a few key upgrades. Just be careful where you go to buy it, because there are versions that are more expensive with less features on board out there on the internet, and you just don't want to lose your money that way. Finally, in our honorable mentions in the sub $299 category, we have the stalwart Lenovo Chromebook 3, and this thing has just been kind of a marvel since it came out, mainly because of its price. It's a smaller Chromebook, it's not a big 15-inch, it's actually an 11.6-inch device, and the screen on it isn't great, to be honest. It's just standard HD, and you're going to get a TN panel here, so it means your viewing angles aren't going to be great. But inside this thing, you're getting a faster Celeron N4020 processor, which has a lot more capability than the standard N4000 processor from Intel. And you're getting a nice package with a great keyboard and a great trackpad that costs just $169 most of the time. At the end of the day, it's just a crazy good deal that anyone looking to buy an affordable Chromebook should be considering. Finally, the winner in this category and the easiest recommendation in the sub $300 price category for us all year long has been the Lenovo Chromebook Duet. And for reasons that probably don't even need to be mentioned here, this is by far the best Chromebook value of 2020. You're getting a great IPS display. You're getting a detachable Chromebook that can act as a tablet when you want. You get the keyboard in the box. It's USI stylus compatible. There's plenty of USI styluses out there that you can buy that work with it right now out of the box, and it's fast enough to do most of the things that you need to do. It's great for kids. It's great for remote learning. It's great for remote work, and it's a great tablet and great for tablet optimized Android applications that you can get from the Play Store. And it's just a fun device to use with a great overall aesthetic and build quality and a screen that's far better than anything else you're going to get in this price category. And the fact that it stays under $300 constantly, because that's the MSRP, and it's also on sale a lot nowadays from anywhere from $230 to $300, is just mind-blowing. And so overall, when you talk about the best bang for your buck, the best overall experience for your dollars, it's just no question the Lenovo Chromebook Duet is the winner in the affordable Chromebook category. Next up, let's move on to the $300 to $649 category, and this is honestly, in 2020, the meat of the Chromebook lineup. Because of what's happened this year, we've seen the flagship type specs and build qualities that we would have gotten a couple years ago on the high-end price range come down into this mid-price range, and it all started with a couple different Chromebooks that launched for less money than we would have expected. And it's just continued to be this trend throughout 2020 where we've got great Chromebooks in a mid-range type price that are all fantastic deals for anyone looking for a decent Chromebook. First up in this group is the Pixelbook Go. And while it barely gets into this price category, I mean, its MSRP is $649, so it's just right at the top. The build quality, the keyboard, the trackpad, the great screen, just the overall aesthetic and Pixelbook Go feel just sets it apart from about anything else out there in the market. The processor inside is the 8th gen Core i3 with 8 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. It's got plenty to get most people through a day, and it's just a fun device to use. It's still one we go back to over and over again. The speakers on it are amazing, and when you pick it up to use it, it's just easy to recommend, even a year after it's been released. Next up is the Lenovo Flex 5, and this device kind of shattered all kinds of barriers whenever it first entered the scene, because it showed up kind of quietly when it was released after the very popular, sought-after Lenovo Chromebook Duet. It came in bearing a bunch of cool stuff at a very low and competitive price, and its MSRP is only $409. That's what it cost on just a normal day, and it stayed there more or less all year long. We're talking IPS 13.3-inch Full HD screen, good backlit keyboard, solid trackpad, good overall build quality, upward firing speakers, 10th gen Core i3 processor, 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, USI compatibility, and a webcam with a privacy shade. With all of that on board, this one set the trend for the rest of 2020 after it came out by making other Chromebooks with similar specs and bigger price tags way harder to recommend. After all, you can't roll up with a similar Chromebook that cost $200 more and expect anyone to buy it now. The Flex 5 is straight up just a disruptor, and that's why it's on this list. The final honorable mention goes to the new HP Chromebook X360 14C. It's one of the newest Chromebooks on the list and one of the few new notable Chromebooks that came out since we made our list in the summer of the best Chromebooks of 2020 so far. At first, when the X360 14C came out, because of its price, it was really hard to recommend. I mean, it was $630, and at that price point, it's hard to convince anyone that it's worth the extra money when the Lenovo Flex 5 that does a lot of what this Chromebook can do is a couple $100 less. But like HP does with all their other Chromebooks, this one went on sale almost immediately, and we started seeing $100, $150 off, and so it just became a no-brainer to pick this one up whenever it's on sale like that. With this device, you get all sorts of niceties. Upward firing speakers, left and right stereo separation, a fingerprint scanner, by the way, which is the only one in this category that has that perk. You get a superb build quality, superb backlit keyboard, a great buttery smooth trackpad, and a really good screen. I do wish HP would give us a little bit more brightness on their screens, but it's a good 14-inch Full HD IPS display. It's got a convertible form factor, USI stylus compatibility, and just an overall nice-looking, premium-feeling Chromebook that may have an MSRP of $630, but constantly shows up for far less than that asking price. Finally, our favorite Chromebook in this price range is by far the Acer Chromebook Spin 713. This device just brings so much to the table for the price that it's kind of ridiculous. Making things even sweeter is the fact that it's gone on sale a couple of times and even went on sale right before we started working on this video, dropping $100 off the starting MSRP of $629. But even at that standard $629, this thing is by far my favorite Chromebook across the board in 2020. Starting with the screen, it's a 3:2 aspect ratio, which I love, but it also is 13.5 inches, QHD, and really bright at 400 nits. So you're getting 3x2, which is awesome because it gives you just more overall screen real estate to work with, but it's bright and it's high res. So it's just a great combo on the screen. You get a great keyboard. It's my favorite keyboard actually yet from Acer. It's backlit, you get a big squared off glass trackpad that's been fantastic in use, and you get a mostly aluminum build, a convertible form factor that works with USI stylus, and you get crazy fast internals. I mean, inside this thing, we're talking 10th gen Core i5 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigs of NVMe storage. So it checks all the performance boxes you could want, along with awesome I/O. I mean, USB Type-C on both sides, USB Type-A, full-size HDMI slot, micro SD card slot, headphone mic jack, and so everything you would want to hook up to this thing is always there, always waiting for you. And with a high-performing, functional, powerful Chromebook like this, it's just absolutely amazing that they fit it all in for $629. And across the board, again, my favorite Chromebook of 2020 by far. Finally, let's look at our high-end Chromebooks. And I've got to say, at this point in 2020, this has just become a bit of an odd category, mainly because of the great Chromebooks that exist in the mid-range category we just came from that feel very premium and aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg. However, that being said, there are some niceties in these high-end Chromebooks that you frankly can't get on mid-range Chromebooks, so let's talk them through. First up in this category is the HP Elite C1030. The weird part about this Chromebook and this recommendation is it isn't even out yet. But looking at the spec sheet and looking at the way this thing is built, it was supposed to arrive earlier this year and we still haven't seen it yet. So, you know, you can probably thank the pandemic and difficulties in manufacturing for all that. But this Chromebook looks to be a legit $1,000 Chromebook that's going to bring some stuff to the table that we just don't have in the lower price categories. First up, there's the almost bezel-less display all the way around the thing. It's a nice 3x2 aspect ratio, and the fact that there's an option to get it to 1,000 nits, 1,000 nits, so bright you can use it outdoors is kind of mind-boggling. There's also USI stylus compatibility, and it looks like HP's pen will actually come right in the box with this one too. Again, we're going to get HP's awesome keyboard and trackpad and the all-aluminum build and super slim design and a convertible form factor and this crazy spec'd out internals with 10th gen Core i5s and i7s and up to 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of NVMe storage. But the problem is we just don't have an option to order it yet. So it's hard to recommend that you go buy it right now, obviously, because you can't, but it should become available by the end of the year. And if it is, it'll likely immediately be in contention for the best high-end Chromebook you can buy. You just can't get it right now. Next up is the Pixelbook Go Core i5 or i7 variant. And while there is the Pixelbook Go Core M3 in the previous category, these other versions obviously go up in price a bit, and for that price bump, you get a little bit more performance, more internal storage. There's also the option for a 4K screen with the Core i7 variant, but as we've shown in a side-by-side comparison between it and the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook, if a 4K screen in the display of your Chromebook is really what you're after, the Galaxy Chromebook's probably going to be a better buy. Our final honorable mention goes to the Asus Chromebook Flip C436, and while I wasn't high on this device earlier in the year when it came out, it was still a compelling Chromebook. So if you're a fan of Asus's build and design, the way they feel, look, and perform, this could be a great Chromebook for you. It's still expensive. The price hasn't really come down at all throughout the year, and it's not odd for Asus. Honestly, they launch their Chromebooks and they just kind of hold their value as time goes on. So there's two versions, an $800 and a $1,000 version, and they both come with a lot of niceties like fingerprint scanners, nice keyboards. Even though I don't care for the way they do keyboard backlighting, I think it's hard to see during the day. A big glass trackpad, great connectivity options, tiny bezels, convertible form factor, USI stylus compatibility, all the high-end internals, you know. The $1,000 version has a Core i7 with 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of NVMe storage, and the $800 version has a Core i3 with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. So they're both going to be great performers. Decently bright 14-inch full HD IPS screen, and you know, a nice pearl lid that you can get on one option. They're good Chromebooks, don't get me wrong. They're just not my favorite at this kind of asking price. So if you like Asus Chromebooks, it could be the one for you. They're just not the top of my list. Finally, the clear overall winner in the premium Chromebook category, basically for the entire year of 2020, I mean, we saw this thing debuted at CES in January, is the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. And while Samsung hasn't done much to really assuage the issue with the battery life as they promised, It's still a great premium Chromebook and the best example, I think, of what it looks like to have a premium device versus the mid-range Chromebooks we just talked about. This is the lightest, thinnest 13-inch Chromebook you're going to find, and it's as premium as any Chromebook that's ever been made, and it just looks beautiful. It's kind of stunning, actually, to pick up and hold and use. It's convertible. It's got a stowed stylus that's not USI, but its own EMR stylus that slides right into the side. It's got great internals, a 10th gen Core i5 with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of NVMe storage. It's got the only OLED display on a Chromebook. It's got one of the only 4K displays on a Chromebook, and it's by far the best looking display you can currently get on any laptop running Chrome OS. So if you're in it for the display and aren't that concerned about battery life, the Galaxy Chromebook's basically a standout in every category and makes really good use of the $999 they ask for it. With its build quality, fantastic keyboard and trackpad, and that screen, it just brings everything to the table. It's like they went in and said, we want to do it all bigger and better, and went out and just built this thing. It's just a shame they couldn't figure out the battery portion to go along with it. So that's it for our best Chromebooks of 2020. If you can't tell, it's becoming increasingly clear this year that mid-range Chromebooks are having a bit of a heyday. Affordable Chromebooks are coming in high number, and we expect a lot of those to come even through 2021 because of the pandemic and people having to learn and work from home. It makes sense that those types of Chromebooks are selling like hotcakes. But this year, I think the biggest change and the biggest move has come in the mid-range category, where we're finally seeing higher-end hardware, higher-end internal specs come down into a more mid-range price category. And it's nice to see how much Chromebook you can get right now for $500 or $600 these days compared to what it was just a few years ago. Before we head out though, a bit more on that giveaway. We are beyond excited to partner with Acer to give away a brand new Acer Spin 713 to one lucky winner. As our favorite overall Chromebook this year, this is a giveaway you don't want to miss out on. You can check the link in the description to see all the ways you can get entered. So good luck. But guys, that's been it for this one. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to go down there and give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and make sure and ring the notification bell that's right next to it if you'd like to be alerted when we make future videos just like this one. Until next time, we'll see you.